can only change the system by changing the constitution. That is constitutional reform. And that is why constitutional reform supersedes every other issue in the country, because without it, you're going no place. Can't solve anything. My brothers and sisters, even a first-year university student know that in order to change the constitution, there must be agreement between the government and the opposition. Because you require a 2/3 majority vote in the parliament to change the constitution, and neither side has the required number of votes. That is why we could not, when we were in power, have constitutional reform, because the other side, the opposition, standing as it was then, would not agree with it. So once you don't get agreement, you can't have constitutional reform. If therefore you are interested in constitutional reform, you've got to talk. You've got to meet and talk. Even a first-year university student know that. I am surprised that so-called intelligent people, some of whom lecture at universities, refuse to accept this simple fact. It is in this context that I accepted the Prime Minister's invitation to meet with him to discuss matters of national interest last week. And I want to tell you tonight, because there are lots of wicked people out there spreading all kinds of rumors, I want to tell you tonight exactly what transpired and what led to this meeting. On Friday, October 30th, while we were in Parliament was sitting, the Prime Minister indicated to me that he wanted to speak to me behind the Speaker's chair. That is a common practice in the Westminster system. That if somebody from that side wants to speak to somebody from this side, or vice versa, then you don't leave the Parliament, you go behind the Speaker's chair. Yeah, that means you're not disturbing the proceedings and so on. And you talk quietly, of course. If the Speaker has good ears, he might hear you. At this side. But we don't worry about that, because we are not conspiring to overthrow. So that he told me that he believed that the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition should meet to discuss matters of national importance. As I said, under the Westminster system, that too is a common practice. I agreed and asked him that crime and constitutional reform be placed on the agenda. I also insisted that this would not be a secret meeting, but that the public should be informed beforehand that we are meeting. She's not going to talk under the pretext that you're talking football and it. It's not that. He agreed that the public will be informed, and asked that they arrange, complete the arrangements. I went back to my seat in Parliament, and after discussing the matter with the Chief Whip and a few of the guys who were around me, I sent the Prime Minister a note confirming my agreement to meet and my request for the items I requested on the agenda. That note would obviously be in the Prime Minister's possession. On the following Saturday, the Office of the Prime Minister issued a statement to the media announcing the meeting to the public. It said no hide and seek meeting. This was going to be no secret meeting to cover or using the cover talk about football, to talk about other things, of which the public knew nothing. I want to tell you that up to this day, the public does not know what took place at the so-called football meeting with the Prime Minister. Anyway, be that as it may. The Prime Minister met with the leader of the opposition on the following Tuesday, and he was accompanied by his Attorney General, and I was accompanied by my Deputy Chairman, Mr. Basdeo. At that meeting, I put forward the UNC's position on crime and constitutional reform. If I recall, tell me, the meeting was taped, wasn't it? There was a camera. The meeting was taped. And I want to tell you exactly what I told the Prime Minister. On the question of crime, as a matter of fact, this is the very notebook I've had with me. I was prepared. And I read out from this notebook, and I'm going to read it out to you tonight as if you was the Prime Minister, and we sit down together and we So all these mischief makers, these power-hungry wolves in sheep clothing, will never mislead the people. I started off by telling him, I said, you know that crime is out of control. I tell him that I believe that murders are going to cross 500 this year. That kidnapping, robberies, and rapes are on the increase. That there were new crimes, particularly crimes against businessmen, who were the victims of extortion, where criminals will go to them and tell them, pay me money, pay me protection money, so that I wouldn't kidnap you. This must be the only country in the world where they collect the ransom before they kidnap. And people are paying money, I know that. And you know that the people are paying money not to be kidnapped. I told him that it was clear that the government could not do anything about it. First, because of the system, and secondly, for other reasons. And the other reasons, I told him, were the lack of resources, both human and material, available to the police. And as far as human resources were concerned, I referred to recruitment and promotion was not done on the basis of merit, but on the basis of patronage and cronyism and political considerations. As a matter of fact, those are not my words. They are words which were written in a report by Ken Lala when he was chairman of the Police Service Commission in the year 2002. I told him that also, not only must you recruit the best people in the country to be in your police service, you have then to train them in modern scientific methods. My brothers and sisters, we passed a breathalyzer act in the parliament. And the other day, I see that the policemen had a roadblock. And they suspected a man of being drunk. And the police drew a line and tell him, hold one edge and walk. They point to your nose. That's ancient. That's an ancient method of telling a man whether he's drunk. All you needed was the breathalyzer. But they wouldn't implement the breathalyzer. So what I told him, I said, part of your causes, you need scientific methods. And having got the methods, you must also train people in it. If you have instruments and you're training people to use them, then what is the point? And also, in order to attract the best people in the police service, you need to improve the working conditions of our policemen. You have to do that. And you must also introduce a system of discipline and accountability, which means changing the constitution, changing the rules. I told him that as far as material sources were lacking, modern crime-fighting equipment accompanied by proper training was totally lacking. There was no accountability. I find it very strange. Every time people complain that there is no motor vehicle, and you approach the Attorney General, not the Attorney General, the Minister of National Security, he says that's not true, they have vehicle. How come they have vehicle, but when they call the station, they have no vehicle? The answer might be, let us assume both sides talking the truth. There's people talking the truth when they say they call and there's no vehicle. And that the Minister of National Security talking the truth when he say yes, I can have vehicle. It's obvious that the policeman using the vehicle to go and pick up a girlfriend somewhere. That's the only reason. Using the vehicle for personal purposes. Now I ask him quite simply, isn't there a logbook? Isn't there a logbook? A simple thing like a logbook that says, vehicle number so-and-so, time, who taken it out, what is the speedometer reading on it, where you're going, when they come back, what time you come back, what is the speedometer reading, how gas it up. I would have thought that that is a simple method of accountability to make sure you know where the motor cars are. So I told him that that is what was needed. But in order to tell a commissioner he's going to introduce that, or you're going to fire him, in order to do that, you need constitutional reform. I also told him that I realize that constitutional reform will take some time. And the criminals are waiting for you to introduce that. While you are introducing that, the criminals are having a field day with crime. Therefore, I suggest that in the meantime, the government set up what is called a national task force comprising representatives of all the political parties, the NGOs and so on, and giving that task force the power to make recommendations of what's to be done in order to deal with crime, but more important, giving the task force power to monitor the implementation of their recommendations. Then somebody is answerable and somebody is controlled. So it's not that we didn't have a plan about what to do with crime. We knew that certain things must be done immediately. But we also know that you cannot resolve the problem of crime permanently without constitutional reform. Under the constitution we have today is about 45 years old. And the 1976 Constitution was merely a change of form, not a substance. And the purpose of a constitution is to so organize the society that it conduces to the happiness of people. That is the first and basic function of government, the happiness of people. And the first thing about the happiness of people is how to protect their life, liberty, and their property. So that we have to change the constitution in order to meet the modern day hopes and aspirations and demand and ambitions of our people. The constitution must also protect, I'm telling the Prime Minister all of that. The Constitution must ensure the protection and rights and freedoms of the citizens. And one such doctrine to ensure the right and freedoms of our citizens is something called the separation of powers. And that is a basic fault with your Constitution in Trinidad and Tobago as it is today. There is no separation of powers. There is separation of powers in the United States, not in Trinidad. In Trinidad, the reason money could play the fool and get away with it, and nobody can do him anything, is because Manning is in control of the executive, and he's in control of the legislative, and directly and indirectly in control of the judiciary. That is the fault, the basic fault with the Constitution. And you have now to separate power. The three, many political philosophers and political scientists have written about this. Now if Jack Warner and read that, I could understand Jack Warner, but oh God, that fellow to the cop. Then read it either, then just go to university, and I intend tonight to read every word that they have said in the papers about my meeting with the Prime Minister. Every word. So that the doctrine of the separation of power. When the people on the Mayflower left England and went to the United States, they left because they were the victims of oppression. Because the British system has no separation of powers. The king, in those days, of course, was in control of the executive, he was in control of the parliament, he was in control of the army, he was in control of everything. And he used his power to persecute people and so on. And so they left. And when they left and went to the United States, they made sure that they will never have a constitution in which the powers were merged, but they will have something called the separation of powers. And the powers of the state consisted of the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. That is what I was telling Mr. Manning. I also pointed it out to him that the Constitution must provide mechanisms for redress by the people, the ordinary people, when their rights are infringed. That is not the case in Trinidad and today. The Constitution, Section 4, contains all kinds of rights. Also, that's what is called the Manning Working Document on Constitutional Reform, isn't it? That contains a lot of rights. People have plenty of rights and so on. But nowhere in the Constitution are there mechanisms which will allow the ordinary people to enforce those rights when those rights have been infringed. That is the secret. I would have thought that fellows who went to university would know all of this. I don't expect international convent to read philosophy and constitutional law. The rights must be clearly stated in the Constitution. And it must be enshrined. More important, my brothers and sisters, where are the mechanisms? When I raised that point, somebody tell me, they said, but if your rights are infringed, can't you go to court? Yeah. Well, when I was a student studying, my professor told me, he said, you see, the courts, they are like the Ritz Hotel. They're open to everybody, but only the rich could get in. And that's it. You will think a poor fellow and the poor people whose rights are always infringed. The rich people could make contact and pay. The poor hasn't got that. And when the rights of the poor are trampled upon, they have nowhere to turn. In the present Constitution and in the draft document. Present and draft of it. And these are the things we're talking about the Prime Minister. When somebody said we went to make deal, you know they have some fellas they could only think in terms of deal. They can't think of nothing else. Their mind don't work unless deal comes in. We go there, we are talking. Vasan Parrott is my witness. I'm only joking, Vas. Let me give you some examples. In Trinidad and Tobago today, the Constitution says that you are entitled to, and to choose a school of your choice for your child. It's contained in the draft and it contained. They take a child from Toko and they send a child to Apraro. Where is your right? That's a right, it's in the Constitution. How do you enforce that right? Go to court? Poor people could barely send their children to school. You expect them to go and hire a high-priced lawyer, and when you take them to court, them taking the best lawyers there is in the country. Best lawyers. And then they say you have rights. That is what the Constitution must do. The Constitution must protect your rights. If the Constitution fails to protect your right to life, freedom, and property, where do you go to enforce those rights when the government infringe upon them? The rich may go to court or they may get contact and so on and so on, but not the poor. The poor don't have that. And I told Mr. Manning that in the conversation I had with him. I also told him that I thought that his approach to constitutional reform was bad. That is to say, what he did was, he got some fellas to sit down around a table, and it doesn't matter if the table wrong, it's square or it's oblong, but they sit down around a table and they produce a document. Okay? Then he takes this document and he throws it in front of the people, the ordinary people, and he says, comment. Go ahead, comment. So the taxi driver who worrying about the tire busting and pothole and so on, he must comment on a document which is written in legal language which some lawyers can understand. This is nonsense. That's not the way to approach it. You don't approach a constitution by having a draft and it made up in legal language and putting it before the people and telling the people. Go ahead. Go ahead, comment on that. In fact, if the Constitution is supposed to deal with people's problems, to give them rights, and to have them protect those rights, the first thing to do is to go to the people and ask them what their problems are. The taxi driver, the cane farmer, the people planting rice or whatever it is, they can't comment upon this working document and so on. They know, however, that if they have pothole, the tire button. They know the problem. They know that when rain comes, they have flood washing away their crops, and they have no right to compensation. They know that those are the problems. They know that policemen take bribes. Some policemen take bribes. And locking you up when they never beat you. Never beat you? They lock you up. Ask the people what their problems are. Problems are crime. They'll tell you that. They know that. They know the problems are crime. The people know all the problems they face. And once you've got those problems, then you hire the lawyers. And you tell the lawyers, these are the people's problems. You draft a constitution that will deal with the people's problems. That's the approach. Right? They decided to print this book. Yes, as I said, what you are doing here, if you read it, is tinkering with the Constitution. And I told the Prime Minister that as well. He was tinkering with the Constitution, and that will not solve the problem. What is required is fundamental change, a new Constitution. And we have to learn to think outside of the box. As I say, ask people what their problems are, and let that form the basis of the reform of a Constitution. I told him that the working document was bad and so on and so forth, and let me follow this conversation so that you will know exactly what happened. After listening to our proposals, which I just read to you, our proposals of constitutional reform, the Prime Minister asked me to put our proposals in writing, which he said that they would study, and we shall then have another meeting to continue the discussion. And that's what I'm doing here tonight, talking to you about the Constitution, and I intend to do that every Monday night. And I intend to ask every parliamentarian to go to his constituency and talk to the people about the Constitution. And we have been asking people what their problems are. We just didn't start this exercise, you know. We've been asking people, tell us what your problems are so that we can have them included in the Constitution when we deal with the question of constitutional reform. So after the meeting, as I said, the Prime Minister said, put them in writing and they'll study and we'll meet again. As a matter of fact, the Prime Minister offered to meet before the Shogun, and I tell him, no, I don't think so, because I want to go to the people even more than we have gone to, so that I can have their views and their opinions included in the document that I sent to him. After the meeting, which lasted just over an hour, the Prime Minister and I held a brief press conference on the steps of the convention center where the meeting was held. At that press conference, the Prime Minister said he was committed to having constitutional reform before the end of the term. As you know, we have also been asking for constitutional reform. I don't know if he's lying. I am not God. I don't know if he played me fool. What I know is that I have a duty to perform. And I must perform my duty regardless of the consequences. I can't perform his duty, and he can't perform mine. I have a duty to perform. My duty is to pursue constitutional reform, so that my brothers and sisters, as I say it, later that day, I arranged for a press conference at the office of leader of the opposition, and at that meeting I told the media exactly what transpired. What I'm telling you tonight, I told them that. And I tell the media that they ask me any question they want about that meeting or indeed anything else. What is interesting, but as you know, that's what happened and they printed it. What is interesting, my brothers and sisters, is how this meeting that I had with the Prime Minister is being greeted by supposedly intelligent people whose only concern seems to be their lust and their hunger for power, regardless of the effect that it is having on our people. I had decided not to comment on these red herrings and these other forms of stupidity. But I must respond now, because if I do not, then there is a possibility that innocent people might believe in the nonsense that they are puking out. And I want tonight to read some of the nonsense that they are puking out. On Monday, the 9th of November, the headline in one of the papers. Yes. Cop and Ramjack react to talks with PM. Let me read this to show you what's happening and to show you how when people are hungry for power, the extent to which they do. It is said that, you know, power is the most intoxicating aphrodisiac that there is. That some fellas get drunk by only smelling it. They even taste it. So let me read what they went to the press and after this meeting I just described here. The Congress of the People, COP, is calling for a public referendum on constitution reform rather than a mandate reform based on a handshake. A mandate. They don't have any originality. Somebody called them Ramjack, they say mandate because Manning and Pandey. They don't even have originality. Come up with a new concept. Anyway, that's what I said. A new constitution, a handshake. A handshake. We had a conversation. We could have other meetings that may be expanded to include other people. Because as a political leader, Winston Buchanan made the call yesterday during a media conference at the Normandy Hotel, St. Anne's. This after Prime Minister Patrick Manning and Opposition Leader Basdeo Panday met and decided to work towards agreeing to a new constitution. We didn't agree to any constitution, we agreed to work towards a new constitution. They were also at one on an executive president. We have told you over and over what we talk about when we mean executive president is not what Manning is talking about. But I'm going to show you how they don't think. They were also at one, yes, on the executive president, calling it a Monday constitution. What is this? What are they talking about? Where is the document they're talking about? My brothers and sisters, Dukaran said, and I quote him, decisions like this must not be based on a handshake. Who the hell tell him it's going to be based on a handshake? He don't be blind. For crying out loud, man. Didn't he head the press that we are talking? He says this was a mockery. So he creates a genie, and then he said there's an ugly genie. Creates his own. He went on to say, we do not believe that leaders of parliament have the prerogative to make such a decision on behalf of the people. So he must be not the representative of parliament. We are talking to the people. We are asking the people the problems. We are, from the answer they get, we are introducing it into our own draft constitution. This is not two people deciding on a constitution. These are two leaders, the government and the opposition, and I think they're hot in there. Doing their duty, that is sitting down to talk about the reformed constitution. He added that this must be done with the total support of the people and by way of a referendum or some way of testing the citizens' opinion. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that at all. Dukaran said that it was a constitution that would empower one person, which was contradictory to a democratic system. How is it going to empower one person? Tonight I want to repeat again what I've been telling you all along about what are our proposals. And I said that, yeah. All right, let me not break the trend of thought that I'm going on with. Published on November 5th, Congress of the People, in the paper, Leader Winston Dukaran has accused the party gatekeepers, Prime Minister Patrick Manning and Opposition Leader Basdeo Panday, of getting scared of the challenges coming on Tuesday to keep the cop out of politics. Me scared. Look how I treat him. Scared of somebody who can't win seat? What? If I do not respond to this, I am sorry I have to do this, but I have to, because I must not let the people go away with the wrong impression. Scare the people who can win a seat. Dukaran made the point on a COP platform in Kuwait on Tuesday following the two leaders' meeting at the diplomatic center earlier that day. He called on Manning and Panday to reveal the secret agenda. What was he, a fly on the wall? When we were holding that meeting, what secret agenda is he talking about? The lust of power can drive you crazy. What secret agenda? It's there, it's there. Mr. Manning came out and said what took place. I went to the parliament, hold a press conference, the press questioned me, I said what took place. What secret agenda? I would have carried him if he asked me, no? Dukaran said, while we are talking to you here about the voices of the future at the diplomatic center, the voices of the past met. Say, well, the voices of the past. Lose an election to really bad people to come in. And I love this one, I love this part. Yes. But those voices are refusing to leave the departure lounge that has been prepared for them by the people of this country and the COP. Those are the same people who voted in the last election. I don't know if that's the people you're talking about. So we in the departure lounge. Let me read. This is. Well, we waited to depart. Some of them don't depart. Yeah, but those are voices that are refusing to leave the departure lounge that has been prepared for them by the people of this country and the COP. The voices of the future. We must take charge of the voices of the past, which remain for the meanwhile in the departure lounge. I'm so sorry. But it seems that the plane they took from the departure lounge did crash. And all of them politically dead. I'm sorry, but stop playing the fool with the UNC. We demand to be respected, and if you don't want to respect us, so be it. So be it. The Quran said, I want to show you that those voices of the past, oh yes, that's the departure lounge thing, isn't it? The departure lounge that we have set for them, we will treat them well, and we will give them all the dignity that must be afforded those who have served the people in the past. But the time has come now, and they must go. We must go. I suppose I'll open the door to Parliament and then let him come in, all I'm rules. We must go and let them come into the Parliament. Questioning the Basdeo Panday meeting, the Quran said, they are working in the interest of this nation and its future, or are they working as self-serving agents to protect their dwindling political support?
Dwindling?
Who won the last election? I say the media agenda was different to the secret agenda. I suspect he was a fly on the wall when we were holding that meeting. And he heard everything that we didn't say. I say the media agenda was different from the secret agenda, and if they want to have integrity in discharge of their offices, they hold on behalf of the people, they must reveal the secret agenda of that meeting. I tell you, secret agenda creates a figment in his imagination and start to fight it. Anybody read the story of Don Quixote? All right. Don Quixote. Now, our next headline. Warner on PN Panday Alliance. Estranged UNC Deputy Jack Warner has alleged that Prime Minister Patrick Manning and Opposition Leader Basdeo Panday have engaged in cutting a private deals and political accommodation in an unholy alliance. Now, I could forgive that. I'm sure he has never read a book on constitutional law. I'm positive. And I can't, again, I have to forgive him, because he only knows what deals. Like all he knows about the deals. So anybody mean anybody, they have to have a deal. He corroborated the deal. He can hold a deal less meeting. In a statement yesterday, Warner said, so then they are working as a team, and such an alliance is unholy. I say if you receive money on behalf of this party and you're going to come for it, that's unholy. Working on an unholy alliance and poses a serious threat to democracy. Democracy, yeah. I have a bill coming up in Parliament and we'll see how democracy is to operate in that. This followed Tuesday meeting by Manning and Panday where the leaders agreed on the idea of an executive president. Panday and UNC MP Hassan Barat and said the opposition would examine proposed anti-crime legislation which the government wanted to pass and so on. So, Jack Warner, who was in Africa, never here. He wanted to put up office in my constituency. He never knew one. Let's start reading this. Let me not go ahead with the rest and so on. The opposition leader denied all that and so on and so forth. You see, I spent my whole day working on this speech here tonight, you know. I know I was coming to meet you and I knew that I owed you a duty to come and speak to you properly. Okay. Opposition leader says, opposition leader says that he has never agreed on any constitution with Prime Minister Patrick Manning. I don't know that. Okay, sorry. I don't know that there is any agreement between Mr. Manning and myself on any constitution, as far as I'm aware. He asked for proposals to be studied. We have commented on this. We said we do not agree with his proposals. Panday told the media on Friday during the tea break in Parliament and so on. There is something I wanted to read to you. I thought it was rather funny. But I'll continue this because, oh yes, this is the one. There is a picture in the papers. You see that's why I compound. But, so, there is this picture taken in the papers. Let me tell you what it says. Under that photograph, it says, secret agenda, in inverted commas. COP political leader Winston Tukaran Wright, displays a document during yesterday's media conference at the Normandy Hotel St. Anne's. Up to this day, he tell anybody what in the document. Pull another document. Nobody knows what is in the document. No report of anything. He didn't give a copy of that document. That is the level of dishonesty to which they have degenerated. Let me go on. At left is Timothy Hamill Smith. You know, sometimes I think he was a smart fellow. Timothy Hamill Smith. And partly hidden is attorney Prakash Ramadhan. If I was him, I would have hide too. Photo by Steve Lube. I want to read this because I want to show you. I want to show you how mad, drunk, insane people could get when they lust after power. Political leader of the Congress of the People, Winston Tukaran, says he intends to mobilize the people of the country to stand up against what he described as the Manday Constitution. He now planning, the Constitution talked about for a long time, he now trying to go to the people. We've been going to the people, this Monday Forum, for years, talking about the Constitution. We will now embark on a program of action in order to solicit a wider consent among the population. What's the matter? You didn't think constitutional reform was important enough to go and talk to the people? Where do you think, the government is run by holding a seminar here and a seminar there? Or you think you win political votes by going in the marketplace and feeling up people punking every now and then? Buchanan was speaking at the news conference at the Novelty Hotel, St. Anne's yesterday, where he expressed concern over the agreement between Prime Minister Patrick Manning and opposition leader Basdeo Panday to work on a new constitution. He said that's a wrong thing. You mustn't agree to work on a new constitution. Yet, a new constitution could only be passed when the government and the opposition vote for it in the parliament. Now,